Hey, friend, welcome to episode 523 of the My 123 Cents podcast. I am Kevin Huntsberger, joined once again this week by Chad Smart. Chad Smart, episode 523 means we're 96 weeks away from Rey Mysterio, hopefully being on episode 619 or Dirty Dom. I'm open to either one or both. So I saw over the last couple of weeks one of them had posted a picture with the other, so maybe they're reconciling and working out a plan to be on the podcast. I don't know, but how are you doing?
Well, I was doing fine until we started setting up, and then I had audio problems. So hopefully things sound good to the listener at home. But you mentioning 619 again, I just have to ask, at episode 615, are you going to have Jeff Jarrett or someone else from the Nashville wrestling scene? And at 618, which Southern Illinois wrestler are you going to have on the show?
Is 615 the Nashville area code?
Yes.
Well, if Jeff Jarrett had a finisher called the 615, I might do that. Yeah, I might do it. I mean, Jeff Jarrett is on the, if you listen to this podcast, he is on the cold open every week, the intro for that, thanks to Jeff Holtke, who met Double J at an event years ago and had him record a little something, something for me. So we appreciate that for sure.
Well, and this has nothing to do with wrestling and is probably very limited in the interest of the listeners at home. But Jeff Jarrett is part of a ownership team that owns a Springfield, Illinois baseball club.
They do.
And thanks to our friend Travis Yates, I was informed that group just bought the Quincy,
Yeah.
Illinois Southern or collegiate baseball, whatever
It's called the Prospect League. And
prospect league.
actually, you, Chad Smart, and I know there's a lot of people from Southern Illinois that listen. There's a team here now. We used to have the Southern Illinois Miners, which were part of the Frontier League. That group disbanded, and so Black Diamond Harley Davidson, which owns pretty much all of Southern Illinois, purchased the stadium or the is it a yeah, it's a stadium. They've renamed and rebranded everything. It's all kind of a Mountain Dew theme, and they are the Thrillville Thrillbillies now, and it's the same league as Jeff Jarrett's Lucky Horseshoes. And I don't remember what the name of the. I think they're renaming and rebranding the Quincy team too.
There, so Quincy had a team called the Gems for like almost 30 years. I didn't realize they no longer existed. And from the article I read is that they're going to let the fans choose the name. So they'll either rebrand the Gems in a new updated logo and font, I guess, or they'll come up with a new name, but it'll be uh, the fans' suggestions. So I'll have to come up with some clever.
Because you're not far. You grew up not far from Quincy, right? About
45 miles. Yeah.
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 So that would be something up your sleeve. I think you could come up with something clever, tying
Yeah.
your heritage to the area back to.
Yeah. I just don't know if all of my names would be appropriate. But yeah, other than that, yeah, things are going good. Like I said, as we're recording this on Sunday, I just finished watching AEW's Full Gear, and I
So
know
what do you
you
think?
are a huge fan, and uh, of Adam Cole, and he did not look jaundiced this week when he did a run in, or this night. So hopefully they've got the spray tanning issues backstage figured out.
I hold on one second. I am getting a call here, and I gotta. Uh, sorry for this.
Is it Jeff Jarrett or Rey
No.
Mysterio?
So I've got a friend who is looking for Christmas beers for me in Indianapolis, and I knew as soon as I sat down to record, she was going to start sending me all these beers. So if I seem distracted, that is why. Um, but
As
uh,
opposed to normally when you're distracted, it's because you actually have the beer with you.
yes, exactly. Drinking water this week. But how was the overall vibe of the show? I saw some clips online, but I did not see like the main event or anything like that.
I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. I think the main event was a little too chaotic and kind of too I guess, WWE main event slash NWO main event with everybody running in at the end. But Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher was insane. If you like flippy floppy moves, and Mercedes Moné probably had her best match so far in AEW with Chris Statlander. I have not watched the pre-show yet, so I haven't got to see the insightful commentary by my good friend Paul Walter Hauser, who was on the panel, and I did not have not watched the Costco guy match yet, which I'm still trying to figure out the popularity of the Rizzler, and if anyone can explain it to me, please do, because it's one of those things. I think I sent you a Snapchat of Big AJ and Big Justice or whatever their names are, and I said, "Wow, I wish I had less self consciousness." Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
I was less
self-conscious.
That's the words I'm trying to spit out. Less self-conscious, and would put random things on the internet, unlike this podcast. So,
what about? So here's the thing. I don't have I know there are people kind of complaining and griping about the Costco guys and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I get it from the AEW fan perspective and what Tony Khan for years has conditioned that base to follow, and that WWE and sports entertainment is bad and that the best wrestle here and yada yada yada. So I honestly don't have a problem with it. As someone who should not have ever set foot inside a wrestling ring to wrestle and to have done it multiple times and win a championship in the process, I don't criticize any outsiders that come in and wrestle. That being said, though, I do understand where the hardcore fans would feel alienated by that, or feel the need to complain, but they've got to do something, because apparently this Rizzler, I had not heard of the Rizzler. I had seen the dad and the son do stuff on TikTok before, and I know they've got quite a base and a following and whatnot, but you got to do something to attract, and I don't know if people that follow those two on TikTok are going to now become AEW fans because they wrestled on a free show. But hey, at least they tried something new and different. And yeah, wrestling, the reason WWE became so popular and became what it has become is because it has some of that stupid, goofy, non-wrestling entertainment. It's the sports entertainment. And I will always bang the drum of story over 5-star, 6-star, 7-star match quality that Dave Meltzer looks for. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And I am not familiar. I mean, until they were on the Jimmy Fallon show like 2 weeks ago, I had never seen the Costco guys. But in AEW's defense, I guess the guy, the dad, is a former wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's been
I know he worked before. So yeah.
So, and it was on the pre-show. It wasn't, people weren't paying necessarily to see it. They didn't until this last week before the pay-per-view. They weren't even on the show to promote the match. So it wasn't like, and I think Tony Khan has even said that, like, he didn't want to take time away from the actual wrestlers to promote this match. And, I think in this age of social media celebrities, if you're going to have social media people on your show, social media is where you should be promoting it, because like you said, that's their audience. That's right. They're probably not watching AEW to begin with, but if they see them on TikTok or whatever. So yeah. And I mean, like you said, it's not like this is the first time a wrestling company has done this. You and I were there when Snooki wrestled, and you look back at WrestleMania 1, and granted, the caliber of celebrity is a little bit higher, but if it didn't have Muhammad Ali, Billy Martin, Liberace, Mr. T, would it have had the same impact?
It's just another MSG house show.
Yeah.
I think, and one more thing, and I'm stealing this from Conrad Thompson, but how many AEW guys or gals were on the Tonight Show this year or ever? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So the people, the hardcores, and I get it. I understand both sides of it. I really honestly do. But you got to do a little give and take. And like you said, like we both said, it was one match on the pre-show. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe if, and I can't remember his name, but the dad would have beat John Moxley for the championship, I could see people getting upset over that.
Yeah.
But
But
for
beating
what
a
it
guy who
was,
doesn't even wrestle on TV, yeah, that's not a. And our friend Mike was at the show, and he texted me after the match was over, and it's like the place was going crazy for it. So
for the Rizzler,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I have no doubt about that. So,
so yeah, I mean, I think they, well, and not to put it in the same caliber or same level, I guess, but I mean, when Logan Paul came into WWE,
mhm.
he was just a uh, internet guy with a bad reputation.
Yeah,
So at
yeah,
least at least the Costco guys, to my knowledge, are just goofy, fun guys. They don't have any baggage, I guess.
true. Yeah, there are seemingly. I'm sure
Yeah,
someone dig up dirt and try to
probably.
uh, bring them down.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, the Rizzler does steal girlfriends, apparently. So
he does what?
steals girlfriends.
Oh,
So
okay. Keep an eye on that guy, right? Um, so we are talking Survivor Series. We reached out to our friends on Facebook, on social media, and got several suggestions to do teams. We're only doing 4 teams, 4 matches, 8 teams. So we kind of alternated back and forth, and Chad picked a team. I picked a team. Well, I did all of it, but picked them under Chad and did it on video. So everything's on the up and up. But before we get to that, since it is Thanksgiving week, since it's Survivor Series week, I wanted to do a little old school. I guess it's not old school because we've only done it once, but I want to do another blind ranking, and I'm throwing this on Chad completely cold here. But Chad, I want to know. I want you to rank these 5 wrestlers
okay,
on who you would have at your Thanksgiving dinner. So number 1 is the guest you would most want to have, and number 5 is the person that you would least want to have at your Thanksgiving dinner. Ready?
sure.
Number 1, the Great Khali.
5.
Okay. Number 2, the Bella Twins.
I'll go 3.
3. Okay.
Does Daniel Bryan come with them? Do I have to serve a vegan meal?
No Daniel Bryan. No Daniel Bryan. The third guest on the list, Cody Rhodes.
Which incarnation of Cody Rhodes?
Let's go with the current WWE Universal Champion.
4.
Oh, this is perfect. Our fourth guest, Randy Orton. Which
well,
is number 1.
you eat your turkey and then you take a nap. And Randy Orton is perfectly fine. He puts me to sleep all the time. So I'm going to go with 2, just because I want to see who the last one is.
Well, you can probably guess who it is, baby. Adam Cole.
Yeah,
I set you up for this.
you set me up for that. Yeah, that's
sorry.
Again, I guess someone needs to sit him down and talk about spray tans. So
there you go. You could get him.
Make the best of the situation. Yeah,
and he'd probably need a shoulder to cry on, because the rumor out there is that he and Britt Baker have split. So I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the sheets are saying. So, well, are you ready to do this Survivor Series? And I guess when I sent this to you, and we probably should have discussed this beforehand, we didn't really put any caveats on it. We just
I was going to ask, did you go with people that could conceivably be in a match today? Because I took it as being a Survivor Series, you couldn't use dead people. And if I would have picked a category, I would have had the non-Survivor Series, people who have been in a Survivor Series match but are no longer alive. But
I did not go that route, but okay. I can adjust mine on the fly here and change it to, or if you have someone that is deceased and you want to have on your team, because I do have people that are retired and are inactive, but okay. I can do whatever.
I mean, I had to for one match, I did have to fill it out with a couple of dead people, just because. And then
I had to as well. I am managed by Harvey Wippleman, and so there's
okay.
I had to go with some who are deceased. So
that makes sense. Okay, so for my another one, I had some people that I wanted to choose, but that would be, I think, the choices that a lot of people would make, but because they were no longer alive, I didn't go with them. I could easily substitute them in. No big deal. So,
Okay.
okay.
Well,
So I guess no limitations and
no limitations. Not this year, maybe next year, because I do want to do this again next year because we got a lot of good responses to this, and we'll build off of it and we may add some twists and plots for next year. But our opening match features Generations. That's Team Chad's Generations versus my team of WWE. And for mine, I went with the current WWE roster on mine for that one. So, because I figured with your AEW one, you probably went mostly AEW current roster, but because there's not a whole lot of fluctuation there. But go ahead, Chad. What did you do for Generations? Because I kind of took that as interpretive of you could do 5 from the same generation or pick 5 different generations. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, I went with 5 different generation people.
Okay.
Well, technically I went with 4 and then 1 repeat, but due to our just now I can use dead people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to substitute my last pick, and my first pick I'm going with Bruno Sammartino.
Okay. Is he team captain or is he
Yeah, because he's the oldest, so you got to defer to your elders.
all right. And how do you want to do this? You want to ping pong back and forth?
Sure.
Okay. Kind of like Vince McMahon's old style of introducing. So for WWE, I'm going to go ahead and start with my team captain as well. And even though he's not, I guess he's technically back on the active roster, I'm going with John Cena, bringing him in to round out his career, make his final Survivor Series one of leading a team of WWE superstars. So and I guess we didn't talk about this, if we have 2 of the same. And since you were the first to pick, is John Cena on your Generations team? Because I will take
John Cena is on my team, but I think if we're ping ponging, it's like a lottery. If you pick him first, then I gotta come up with someone else.
All right. Well, John Cena then is my pick for Team WWE.
Okay. Well, my second generational pick is from the golden era, and that is the Golden Warrior himself, Hulk Hogan.
I think he's more orange than golden, but I gotcha. That's a good pick. My second WWE pick is your dinner guest, the WWE Universal Champion, Cody Rhodes.
Okay. My third pick then will be, the bad son of a bitch who's going to bring the beer for the dinner, and that's Steve Austin.
Okay. Now let me ask you this too. Are we okay with having wrestlers appear not in the same match, but on the same card?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just making sure because spoiler alert. My third pick, Dirty Dom. Got to have a little heel heat out there.
Yeah.
So I know as I was thinking about it, and tell me if there's someone else, but outside of the bloodline, is there a bigger heel right now in WWE than Dominic? I was really trying to think about that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And and for some reason, and we've talked about this before, the whole bloodline right now, I don't know. The heel bloodline, to me, it's just, again, it's kind of that missing that something. So maybe that'll change at Survivor Series. Who's your fourth?
Since you took John Cena, I have to call in a backup. So hopefully he's not too busy shooting movies these days. So I'm going to call in the Animal Batista.
That's a great pick. All right. Well, my fourth pick is going to be the 5th member of the OG or the OC or whatever they're calling them now, of the bloodline, and that is CM Punk.
All right. Well,
and who is your 5th member?
I might be taking your 5th member because you took Cody, so I have to go with Roman Reigns.
Okay, you got him. I do have a backup though. I wrote down a backup for each one of my matches. My backup then,
yeet or no yeet?
Oh, no yeet, but Drew McIntyre,
all right,
who I think has done some good stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Has he been around lately? I feel like I haven't seen him in a while, but I don't.
No, they had the Hell in the Cell match at Bad Blood, and so he and Punk have both been off TV. Obviously, Punk just returned.
Hmm,
But I don't know what Drew's status is.
gotcha. Okay, so we have Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Batista, and Roman Reigns taking on John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Dirty Dom, CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre. That would be a solid match, I think.
That would that would be a good probably 40-minute 87 kick out reversals. And
Next up is, and I have a feeling we're going to have dupes on this one, potentially, at least one. Full and Magnificent Beards. That is your team recommended to us by Greg Mahachko, the founder of Jittery Monkey Podcasting, versus my team of all technical wrestlers. That came from Dan Corley. Ken Johnson, by the way, recommended the Team WWE, and Robbie Thompson recommended Generation. So, Full and Magnificent Beards, who you got for your captain?
well, do you want to start this one off since I started the last one? You want to?
Yeah, I'll start it off. And since I don't want to steal another one of yours, I'm going to start off with my team captain. I'm going to make my team captain for this one, Kurt Angle.
Okay. I don't know who you were stealing from me with this one. I can't think of a technical wrestler with a nice beard.
What?
I'm sure there's somebody that it's very obvious, and I'm just not.
Okay, it is very obvious. So I'll let you make your team captain here, and then we'll see.
All right. Well, for my team captain, I had to go outside WWE because I just had to get this guy on the show. He doesn't. I don't know if he has a necessarily a full beard, but he's got a nice goatee, and that is my man Delirious.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it.
He would, his team captain skills, talking strategy would very, yeah.
Yeah, he may not communicate very well, but I think he would do a good job as fitting the bill of a full, maybe not a full beard, but it is a magnificent beard for sure. All right, well, since you maybe don't have this guy on your team, Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan.
I think he was on my short list, but then when I was picking guys that could conceivably be on the team because he was retired, I
Okay,
marked him off.
But, okay, all right. Well, who is your second bearded superstar?
Well, I'm going to change out my team since I can bring in anybody, and I think having Delirious, who is good friends with Ultramantis Black, who probably could work some black magic and bring these guys back into the fold. My next guy, I'm going to go with Bruiser Brody.
Oh, good one.
And I think Bruiser and Delirious would also kind of be on the same wavelength.
Man, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. Well, since you are picking Bruiser Brody, I'm going to pick one of Brody's great challenges from back in the day, and that is the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair.
Good call. Which I just was watching Survivor Series 91 the other day. And Survivor Series is like my weak point in remembering what happened on the early shows. I did not realize that everybody in the match with Flair, except for Flair, got disqualified.
I hated that. They did that in 1990 as well with the Ultimate Warriors team. Demolition and the Road Warriors both, I think, got disqualified or counted out. And then they did that a year later with the Flair. I hate when they do that. To me, it's like an easy out, and it's just it doesn't make any sense because you can't pin multiple people. So how can you just qualify and count out more? But again, it's part of the show. So
part of the story, yeah. All right. For my third person, well, I would like to go again with the supernatural route, bringing someone in who would also actually have connections with Delirious. I'm going to go tangentially and go with Eric Rowan or Eric Redbeard or whichever Wyatt Six character he is portraying these days.
All right. Eric Redbeard. Interesting pick. He does have a full and magnificent beard. Well, keeping with the black magic, I'm going with the late, great Latino heat. Dominic's dad, perhaps, Eddie Guerrero.
I still want to see a paternity test because
I'm telling you, I just saw an interview with Dominic the other day, and he talks about that, and he's partly in character, but he's also, I think just kind of messing around. But yeah, he's talking about the similarities between he and Eddie now, and I obviously think that's part of his whole shtick. So I love it.
All right. Well, getting back to the land of vocabulary, really need a thesaurus for Christmas. Um, to people that could actually be in the match, I know he's kind of retired right now. I think we could pull him back out. He not only does he have a beard, I believe he has beard wax or beard, whatever you put into your beard to make it full and luscious, and that is the NXT commentator Booker T. Booker T.
Okay.
Sucker. Uh, just yeah.
I like that. I like that pick. My last pick is someone who has been in AEW, who I guess is returning to the ring very soon for New Japan, and that is Mr. Kenny Omega, who I think will also be back in AEW sooner rather than later.
Okay. Yeah,
You surprised
hopefully.
I picked an AEW guy?
Well, I was trying to think of his technical prowess, but
That's the thing too. Like, what do you consider a technical wrestler? I mean, I looked on Google to see who they suggest. I mean, they had the Undertaker listed as a technical
well,
wrestler.
technically he is a wrestler, so
That's true.
I don't know. Yeah, I think anybody, I guess, that doesn't rely on high spots maybe is a technical wrestler,
Yeah, I don't know.
or
So,
even that knows the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch.
who is your fifth bearded wrestler?
All right, my fifth one. Again, this was going off of my limitations. I just figure you have to put him in here. I know it's. I don't know if he has a tradition with necessarily with the Survivor Series, but I'm going with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh yeah, okay. I like Hacksaw.
Hopefully, he can get some more snot stuck in his beard.
Have Jesse on commentary calling it out. So, team bearded wrestlers, that is Chad's team of Delirious, Bruiser Brody, Eric Redbeard, Booker T, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, taking on the all technical team of Kurt Angle, Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, and Kenny Omega. Some good picks there, Chad. I got to tell you. Okay, now this one is our, if you go back to 1987, the very first Survivor Series, and even the second Survivor Series, at the first Survivor Series, there were teams, there were four teams or four matches, eight teams, and one of them featured a tag team match. And someone actually did, Ken Johnson again, recommended tag team wrestling. So tag teams got picked. So I said, whoever the other pick is whatever that category is, we're going to make it a tag team affair as well. And so I ended up with teams, or it's going to be wrestlers managed by Harvey Wippleman, who Zach Whitecotton had recommended that. So I took all of Harvey's wrestlers, or most of them, and put them together as teams as well. And Chad, we talked about how you were going to do your tag teams, so it's not just a generic tag team category. What did you end up deciding on?
Well, thanks to you, I got tag teams from other countries.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, so I think this was a tough one for both of us for being a tag team category. So
Right. Yes.
all right.
Okay. So you are the first pick.
Yeah. So my first pick, and again, I had to rely on the Google machine to try to come up with some names.
Yeah.
So my first pick is Aussie Open, which I believe is Kyle Fletcher and I can't think of his name. He just returned to AEW, but my apologies to the partner. Mark Davis is his name. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis.
And they are from Australia, I'm guessing.
I believe originally, yes, but they made their names in New Japan.
All right. The team of Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis is our first team in the tag team category, taking on from the Harvey Wippleman tag teams. And I'm going to go with the one true tag team that was managed by Harvey Wippleman in the WWF, WWE, and that is Timothy Well and Stephen Dunn, better known collectively as Well Done.
I
And
thought they were known as Tim Steve.
what's that?
I thought they were known as Tim Steve.
I didn't realize. I knew that one of them had passed, but they have both passed away several years ago. So, yeah, Timothy Well and actually, I think just about everybody on Harvey's
teams
list have passed away. So that's we definitely had to keep the Hollow Wicked and the Black Arts alive for this match for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who all you have, because I was looking up Harvey Wippleman clients, and I don't know if I could pull up 10 to make a tag team out of it. So.
I'm a little impressed, honestly, with what I put together. So we'll get to them all. But who's your second tag team?
All right. I cannot pronounce their actual tag team or group name, so I'm just going to mention their names. They are the Mexican wrestlers La Mascara, probably butchered that, and Roosh.
Okay. And where are they? Are they active wrestlers now? Are they?
Roosh is in AEW.
I was going to say Roosh is in AEW, isn't he?
Yeah, La Mascara, I don't know, but they're like Inglorious de Robles, something similar to that. My Spanish is terrible.
Well, my next team is, and again, I just took Harvey's guys and put them together, pairing them on what I thought would make the best tag team as a quality tag team, and that is Psycho Sid or Sid Justice, I guess he was when he was wrestling for Harvey, and the Warlord.
Yeah, like I said, I just watched Survivor Series 91. I forgot that the Warlord was managed by Harvey for a short time.
Yeah, it was after I remember British Bulldog like took out Slick or something, and I think he jumped to Warlord jumped to Harvey Wippleman.
Yeah, that was when Warlord was carrying around his awesome wizard's wand with the
the scepter or whatever it was, and wore the thing over his eye. All right, give us another team.
All right, another one that I think made their name in Japan. One guy is from England, the other guy is from Joliet, Illinois. So that's kind of a foreign country. The team of Finjuice, Rock Hard, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay.
Oh, okay.
The son of Fit.
I was going to say, what is he doing now? I thought I read about, no, David. Where is he?
Maybe still in Japan.
Okay. I didn't know if he was.
I know he was showing up in TNA like last year or the year before. But I haven't seen him lately, so I don't know.
Interesting. My next one was actually, I think, a brief tag team for Harvey, and that is Adam Bomb and Quang the Ninja, who I believe was later revealed to be Savio Vega.
Yes.
Which their tandem didn't last very long. I remember very briefly Adam Bomb turning face and feuding for a minute with Quang in the mid 90s. Again, this was during that whole gimmick era of WWE, or not gimmick era, occupational gimmicks and kind of the silliness. Adam Bomb, of course, went on to become Brian Clark and wrestled with Brian Adams as Chronic in WCW and for a minute in WWF as well, but didn't last very long. So that's my third team.
All right. I was scouring the globe trying to find good tag teams, and I knew I needed a Canadian team.
Really?
Yeah, but a lot of Canadian tag teams that I thought of were not full Canadian. I wanted a full Canadian team, and I guess there was another one I could have chosen.
Yeah,
but
I'm picking the low hanging fruit, so I'm curious who you picked.
I went with guys that I'm big fans of. Unfortunately, I don't think they're no longer currently a tag team. Our good friend Adam Testa, cost them the Chikara Campeonatos de Parejos in Indiana a few years ago. And that's the team of 3.0, Jagged and Shane Matthews, otherwise known as Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Angelo Parker these days.
Yeah, you went for some obscurity there. I'm gonna have to Google that later. I didn't get Daddy Magic, and who's the other one?
Cool Hand Angelo Parker.
Okay. I remember the match, but I don't remember the obviously the combatants. So was the other one Edge and Christian? Was that
No, that one
oh,
totally skipped my mind. I was just thinking right now it's Steen Kevin Steen and El
oh,
Generico. But
oh, okay.
I guess
Oh,
El Generico is from Mexico. So
that's international though. But yeah, you
yeah.
were a true Canadian team, which Team Canada was one of the suggestions. And again, we picked these all out of. I don't think I've showed off gobbledygooker yet this week. So we picked them all out of the Gooker's egg here for our Survivor Series showdown. And again, it's going to become the new my 1 2 3 cents thanks tradition. My fourth team. Uh, uh, I'm gonna save these guys for last because I think they're the best team, and I actually should have brought them in here with me. But anyway, my fourth team is Mr. Hughes and Big Bully Busick,
Mm.
which were both briefly managed again by. Do you remember Big Bully Busick at all?
I do. I think he kind of didn't get his share of acolytes. I think he could have been a bigger star
Yeah, he
than
was in and out pretty quick. I remember seeing him more regionally in the magazines back in the day, and then he showed up in the WWF, and he wasn't there very long. But yeah, he
he
was one.
reminded me of the Looney Tune dog.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, he was there for a second, but I thought, yeah, I'll throw him into the mix too. All right, who's your fifth team?
I have two down here. Unfortunately, both teams, all four members are no longer with us. But I mean, I think I'm going to have to go. You bring in Big Bully Music. I need power to back that up. So I'm going with two guys that are actually American, but again, found their fame in Japan. And that's Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy.
A great team, and I like I can remember, like you said, they were big in Japan, and then WCW had them for a little bit, and I feel like maybe the WCW wasn't ready for something like Gordy and Williams. I don't feel like they ever got their just desserts in the United States. What do you remember them wrestling in WCW?
Yeah, I remember they came in, and that was when was it Starcade was going to do a tag team tournament, and the Clash of the Champions before that. I can't remember exactly what happened, but the first match in the tournament was going to be Steiners versus Williams and Cordy, and they ended up putting that on as like a special main event of Clash of the Champions because they had time left over, and I think that was the hype. But yeah, I don't remember how long Williams and Cordy stuck around for.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was for very long, and actually it came up on my feed the other day. I was scrolling through, and I get all kinds of wrestling stuff on my feed. It was an old War Games match, and it was Doctor. This was when Doctor Death was still a face, but it was Doctor Death and teaming up with the Midnight Express and oh God, I don't remember the other team. Oh, the Road Warriors, I think. And yeah, it was the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express, and Doctor Death. A real odd team, I think, taking on the Freebirds of Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin. Terry Gordy was there, and then the Samoan SWAT team. And and they're in the old school War Games cage that hangs low, and Doc is pressing Terry Gordy over his head and just ramming his back into that cage. Just the strength of Doctor Death. So a great pick and a great team from the past. So. But I don't think they're as great as my final team of the Giant Gonzalez and the Ugandan headhunter Kamala.
And I'm so disappointed you had enough people that you didn't have to bring in Bertha Faye.
She's going to be ringside with Harvey.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually I'm like, okay, do I need to incorporate Bertha Faye? But I did not. And there were some people had put in a stipulation of adding a female to the teams. We didn't, it didn't come out of the luck of the draw again. It's all about the draw. So this was all 100% on the up and up as far as the picks. So great tag teams, 10 teams there that are going to compete at the Survivor Series. Our main event, though, another one recommended by Ken Johnson, Team AEW versus team recommended by Zach Whitecotton. My team is going to be teams with animals or an animal in their nickname. So I was hoping that one was going to get picked, and it was, and because I like kind of the more obscure ones. So, um, do I go first on this one?
Sure.
Okay. So we are obviously going to end up duplicating one of them, but he's in the opening match. I think he's got time to rest and be prepared. But not only, and God, I should have grabbed him as well. I didn't grab him, but my team is going to be managed. I do have a special manager for my team, and that is Bobby the Weasel Heenan in his weasel costume. And his first charge to the ring is the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
All right. Well, if you're going to have a special manager, then I am too. And I'm going to have Tony Khan at ringside giving out free hugs to all the fans.
There you go.
Yeah, for Team AEW, I tried to pick guys whose fame and popularity basically have come from AEW.
Okay.
I mean, obviously they've wrestled prior to AEW, but getting on the main stage in AEW was their first big thing. So, my team captain, guy who tried to win the AEW World Championship at Full Gear this year, but fell to the numbers of the Death Riders. That is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
Nice. Good pick. I think when I think of, like you said, those guys that kind of AEW, I don't know if original or homegrown or whatever, but Orange Cassidy is definitely at the top of the list. And so he did come up short in his quest for the championship. Do you think he's eventually going to win? Are they going to give him a harder edge, you think, and make him a little less, I don't want to say cartoony, but make him a little more,
I mean,
serious contender?
Based on rumor and what I'm speculating right now, I don't think he'll be the one to dethrone Moxley, but
Okay.
I think before all is said and done, I think he'll be an AEW champion, world
Okay.
champion.
By the way, I'm going to also, Bobby the Weasel is going to need some backup as manager. So Gobbledygooker is going to be ringside as well for mine is going to be totally cartoony because, of course, these are guys with animals in their nickname. My next pick is the late, great Junkyard Dog. Got to have a little JYD in there. One of my favorites as a kid. Never had a chance to wrestle at a Survivor Series. For whatever reason, he wasn't on that first year's show. And then that second year, he was supposed to be a part of it, but he and the Magnificent Morocco both departed WWF just weeks before Survivor Series. I remember reading that news headline in a magazine, and I was bummed because Junkyard Dog was, like I said, as a kid, one of my favorites growing up. So the dog is on my team.
All right. My second Team AEW pick will be the guy that I think speculation is leaning right now that he will be the one to dethrone Jon Moxley, and that is Darby Allin.
Okay, yeah. Again, a great pick because he's one of those guys that one of those pillars, if you will. And he gets a lot of criticism and for the risks that he takes and whatnot. And you would think sooner rather than later that'll catch up to him. But I think that he is, again, one of those talents. And I think pairing him with Sting back when Sting was around, I think helped him in a lot of ways as well, sit under that learning tree of Sting. So yeah, Darby Allin.
Hold on. The learning tree is Chris Jericho.
Yes, I know. Who I'm going to guess.
Don't disrespect Chris Jericho.
Okay. My next pick for wrestlers with animals in their names, another late great one who is a dog himself as well, and that is the British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith.
I almost picked the Bulldogs for the tag team, but
Great tag team. But yeah, I love Davy Boy Smith as well. Uh, Someone who was taken way too soon, and I think it's weird to think back. You look at guys today, and those that are in their late 30s, early 40s, and even like a Chris Jericho who's in his 50s. But you look at Lashley and Cena and AJ Styles and these guys, and I mean they're still going and looking great. And I know things have changed obviously over the last 4 decades, but British Bulldog died at 39. And even at the time of his death, he was probably 3 or 4 years past his quote unquote prime, seemingly. So it's just, it's weird to me that dynamic of how people, not just wrestlers, but how people in general have changed and different. You see the Cheers cast, and they put, they were in their 30s during Cheers, and how they looked so much older than that. But anyway, just an observation. But the Bulldog, one of those guys, I think that gone way too soon.
I mean that's two dogs on your team. So I guess is your motto? It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
Yes, I got dogs and I got a lot of reptiles too. So yeah, spoiler alert coming up.
All right.
And a turkey and a
Well,
weasel.
what's that?
And a turkey and a weasel.
All you need is a partridge in a pear tree. That's next month. My third member probably should have been my first, if you ask him anyway, and that is the savior of the poors, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
MJF. All right. Did he wrestle at the show over the weekend?
He had a match with Roderick Strong, and then Adam Cole came out afterwards because of the whole story that they're telling. With it's very convoluted because last year Adam Cole and MJF were a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
MJF a face, and then Adam Cole turned on MJF along with the Undisputed Kingdom, but Adam Cole had broken his ankle like a month before they revealed, and then he was been gone for 10 months. And so now that they come back, MJF has been face, turned back to a heel, and because for some reason people like Adam Cole, he's now the face, even though it makes very little sense.
Well,
Much like the fandom of Adam Cole.
you gotta love that wrestling logic. We've lived it for years. So I promised some reptiles, so let's throw out Jake the Snake Roberts. Who
Expecting that one.
do what?
I was expecting that one to come up.
Yeah. So yeah, Jake the Snake. Again, one of those guys that I can remember watching even back before he went to the WWF, and he was still wrestling or he was wrestling as Jake the Snake then. But again, this is part of that Vince McMahon initiative, the creative, the marketing, and putting him in the snakeskin boots and having him bring a snake out, kind of changing up his look, which I think made big improvements to his character overall. And Jake was one of those guys that I liked as a heel and a face. And when he turned, and actually as we're recording this, it is the 33 year anniversary of him unleashing the Cobra on the Macho Man Randy Savage on Superstars. I think it was Superstars or Wrestling Challenge. And I can remember the outcry going on back in that time, and how much wrestling has changed even since then. So I think he smacked Elizabeth. I think maybe he smacked Elizabeth at Tuesday in Texas. But anyway, he really did a great job as playing that psychological game with Savage back in 1991.
Yeah, I know he gets a lot of credit for his wrestling mind and his promos, but I think if you go back and watch late 80s, early 90s Jake Roberts, the one thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is Cosby sweaters.
That is true. He does have a nice sweater collection too.
Anyway, my fourth man on Team AEW, I'm going a couple of up and coming stars that I think will be hopefully big part of AEW's future. And And also, he's got the Chikara connection. If you know, you know, and you probably don't know. It's Wheeler Yuta.
I I don't. Some of them I know, but Wheeler Yuta I don't know. So I'll have
He
to.
was part of a team called Cyber Hawks,
Oh, okay.
mass guys in the like the last 2 years of Chikara's existence. So
Do you think? What do you think about? Because they don't acknowledge like Orange Cassidy being a Chikara guy. Do they
because he
acknowledge
wasn't.
Chikara at all?
I don't think they've acknowledged it. Like, but I mean, Orange Cassidy wasn't Orange Cassidy in Chikara. So
Right. That's what I mean. Like, but do they talk about him having a past? I mean,
I
it's
mean, I'm sure
Harley
they
Race
have.
when he showed up in WWF, and it's like, oh, welcome to newcomer Harley Race.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they acknowledge their independent credentials, and because a lot of feuds are based upon, we fought before AEW, and I helped get you into this company, and I made a call to Tony Khan, and it's like,
Oh, I
I mean,
see.
I think they've done that storyline at least 4 times this year. So
Gotcha. Well, my last animal pick is someone that's coming to Chad's Thanksgiving as well, and that is the Viper, Randy Orton. So I had to get someone in there that's young and still active. So that is my guy there, Randy Orton.
I thought you were going to go with Ricky the Dragon.
I debated, but I'm like, our dragons aren't, I guess, kimono dragon, but
Joe Rogan believes in dragons, apparently. So
well, and you've got a bearded dragon at home, don't you? Well, not
at my girlfriend's, yes.
yeah. So I debated, yeah, Ricky the Dragon, and then of course I already had Daniel Bryan on my all technical team, but the American Dragon, and then of course
Could have
Dragon.
gone with Retail Dragon,
Who's that?
Chikara wrestler that worked at Walmart.
Okay. Well,
Or
uh,
Dragon Dragon. Come on.
I said
Although
Dragon.
he's dead, so I understand. R.I.P. Dragon Dragon.
Oh, is he no longer with us? Oh yeah, they decimated him in the ring, right?
Yes.
So yeah, there were lots of choice. There were lots of
I mean, we
opportunities.
could have had an all dragon team. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have. Suggest that for next
Especially,
year. We'll throw it in the box or the egg. All right, Chad, you got one more pick for AEW.
all right. My last pick, again, I was originally going to go with Hangman Page, but I think because he was in Ring of Honor prior to AEW, switch it up, going with the new TNT champion, Daniel Garcia,
Okay.
another young up and comer, and uh, we'll see how he fares in the future.
I don't know much about Daniel Garcia. Is he who is and I know I'm crossing my wires here. Who's the guy? Nick Wayne, right? The kid.
But yes,
Okay.
the 18-year-old, yeah,
For some reason
Christian son.
I get him and I don't know why I cross those two, but I do. Daniel Garcia and Nick Wayne. I don't know why I do that, but solid team there. Very solid team. Team AEW of Orange, managed by Tony Khan and captained by Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, MJF, Wheeler Yuta, and Daniel Garcia, taking on the animals with nicknames or nicknames with animals in it. Bobby the Weasel Heenan is the manager there, and Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Junkyard Dog, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, Jake the Snake Roberts, and the Viper, Randy Orton. Maybe I could have explored outside of reptiles and dogs for mine, but some solid teams, some fun there, having a little Survivor Series fun. Chad, your overall opinion of Survivor Series? I know we're building up to this year's. Couple years ago, I guess they moved away from the just traditional elimination match, and now we've put them inside the
War Games.
War Games.
Yeah.
And I know you probably have an opinion on War Games as well. It's not quite like it was back in the day in JCP, but I'm surprised to see that it had made it to the main roster because they had kept it kind of on an NXT thing for many years, and just over the last couple of years, it's now been a staple for Survivor Series. Thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I like War Games. I prefer War Games over the traditional Survivor Series elimination matches. but the WWE version of War Games is not, the fact that there's no roof on the cage. And so people are climbing to the top and doing moves. And the fact that plunder gets brought into the match early on, you have tables and chairs and garbage cans. And that's not, I think those are kind of overused in wrestling anyway, but to put them into a War Games match,
Uh-huh.
I would just want to see people get power bombed and bust their head off the cross beams of the. You know, so yeah, no, I'm glad they brought War Games back because I think it's probably one of the best WCW match creations, and I think probably Vince McMahon didn't want to acknowledge it so much because it wasn't his, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm curious to see. I think this year's men's match, I don't think it needed to be 5-on-5. I think they should have just stuck with Bloodline versus Bloodline, and I think the women's War Games match probably should have just been a traditional Survivor Series match. I don't think that was built up to be a War Games hatred match, but um, yeah, I'm looking for. I mean, I think as of this recording, there's only two other matches announced for the show, and that's uh, matches I can't even think of. Damian Priest versus Gunther,
Uh-huh.
and one other match. So
I guess Gunther I overlooked as being a top heel in WWE. I could have added him to my team WWE now that you just said his name. So too late now, though. But I think part of that less matches is isn't there a pretty big time interval in between entries into the? Is it 5 minutes or 3 minutes?
it's 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I think if you do both your War Games matches are probably going to go about 40-45 minutes,
Yeah.
and WWE pay-per-views now only go a little under 3 hours again.
Yeah.
So
They're trying to shorten those. Um, I agree with you on the women's match. I'm not looking as forward to that one. And I mean, I don't disagree on the 4-on-4 instead of doing 5-on-5 for War Games. However, I do think Paul Heyman and CM Punk being involved in this now, I think we're going somewhere with that. Uh, is who's the fifth guy on the Timu Bloodline team?
big Bronson Reed.
It is Bronson Reed. So okay, I didn't know if they were gonna somehow get him out of there and bring, because there were rumors that. Uh,
I mean, as of right
yeah.
now, what
Right.
happened
Yeah.
in the actual
Yeah.
match? Yeah,
We are recording this 6 days prior to Survivor Series, so anything could change. And as Vince McMahon used to say, anything can happen. So, um, and I'm sure you see the fan theories and stuff, and the Paul Heyman, what he was wearing Friday night at SmackDown match, what Solo wore at one point. So people are drawing those lines of suspicion and throwing out, fan theories and whatnot. And I guess it wouldn't be wrestling without fan theories and predictions. So, um, anything else you want to add to this week's episode before we put a bow on it?
I'm tired. I stayed up way too late watching the 7 hour Full Gear marathon. No, I think that we're getting into the end of the year, which will bring about the uh, start to the road to WrestleMania in a few weeks, and we got Raw moving over to Netflix in
Yeah.
January, which, like I said, I looked at tickets. I think the pre-sale code should have been greedy or are you kidding me? Because the ticket prices are insane. And then we also got AEW moving to Max simulcasting on January 1st. So,
Oh, does that start on the first two?
mhm. so,
Wow.
so I think it'll, hopefully the next uh, beginning of 2025 will be an interesting time for wrestling.
Yeah.
And
We will talk more about that too. I didn't realize the Max deal was starting that soon. So we'll have lots to talk about, and we're going to start gearing up for December and the holiday season, Christmas. Remind you about the toy drive that's going on, the action figure drive. Reach out and let me know if you're interested in donating to that, and we will definitely get your donations taken care of. But again, let us know what you think of our Survivor Series teams, which teams win these matches, and we will talk again. We will see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving, and have a great week.